The Legend of Kumoto, the Glassmaker. Long ago, in the ancient lands of LumoKanda, where wisdom flowed like rivers and magic threaded through the air, there lived a young warrior named Kumoto. His people, draped in snakeskin, called him the Glassmaker, though none knew why. The LumoKanda, known for their esoteric knowledge, shared their secrets with the mystic time folders, who could bend time itself to fend off evils yet to come. One evening, as the sun bled into the Nile and shadows stretched across the land, Kumoto stood at the water's edge. His love, a woman with eyes like the deepest wells, watched the ships arrive from distant lands. Knowledge and peace traveled with the winds that filled the sails, but her heart sensed his unrest. "Why do you tremble tonight, Kumoto?" she asked. "What is it that you cannot share?" He turned, his face caught between light and dark, and whispered, "Some truths must remain hidden. The elder has taught me that certain knowledge must only be borne by those who are ready to carry its burden." That night, beneath a full moon that glowed like a sentinel in the sky, Kumoto entered the Temple of the Cobra. The elder, wise as stone and as still as the night, awaited him. Wrapped in the skins of serpents, the old man had guided Kumoto through grueling trials, endless breaths of fire, meditations so deep they severed the soul from the body. "The time folders bring visions," the elder rasped, "of warriors from distant lands. They are clad in cold iron that gleams like the teeth of lions, their swords long and jagged, made to tear rather than to kill swiftly. These men with hearts like embers will rise to scour our tribe from history." Kumoto listened, his heart heavy with the weight of his mission. "You must meet this evil, but heed this. Never lend your ear to their words. Words twist, they burrow into the soul. It is only when we treat them as equals that they can undo us." Kumoto bowed, accepting the elder's warning. He knew his path was carved in fate. In the moon-drenched sector of the temple, the ritual began. He turned an hourglass, the sand within marking the time he had to journey. Then, he stepped into the pit of searing coals. Flames licked his skin, but his body remained untouched, unburned. His spirit lifted, and like a dragon, Kumoto soared through the stars, past the veil of time and into the future. Far ahead, in the mountain heights of his homeland, chaos had already taken root. A woman, her face etched with worry, nursed her fevered children as shadows grew outside her window. From her perch, she saw the gleam of approaching destruction, an army riding the night itself, their banners emblazoned with the lion's maw, their armor heavy and brutal, made to crush bones. She sank to her knees, whispering prayers to her ancestors. But the night answered in violence. The sky ripped open with lightning, flames cascading down the mountain, halting the invaders in their tracks. But the storm, wild and unpredictable, drove them higher, closer to her home. Fear gripped her, but the storm was relentless. Another bolt of lightning struck, and another. The earth shook beneath the weight of divine fury, and soon the army was reduced to ash, all but one. The woman, shaking, crept outside and saw him. The leader, his sword raised high, daring the sky. The blade shimmered like the sun on steel, jagged as a predator's tooth. "Dragon of the old gods!" he roared to the storm. "Show yourself and face me." Above him, the clouds churned, and the woman saw it, a translucent dragon, its scales like shards of glass reflecting the storm's fury. Its voice, deep and ancient, rolled through the heavens.
"How is it that you see me?"
it demanded, its eyes narrowing on the figure below. The leader's grin widened, dark and arrogant. "My ancestors tore the knowledge from your kind, ripped it from your sacred books. I see you as you truly are, and I will slay you." The dragon's eyes blazed with fury, and as the king spoke, it began to take form, solidifying, growing more real. The woman watched as the dragon descended, its jaws open to devour the man. But he moved with swift cruelty, his blade slicing the air. As the dragon passed, a streak of blood as thick as molten iron rained down from the sky. The beast roared and disappeared into the clouds. The leader laughed, his voice echoing through the mountains. "A new day is upon us," he shouted to the sky, his confidence growing with each step. The woman trembled, her fear raw and alive, but a misstep betrayed her. Her foot cracked a twig, and the leader's eyes snapped toward her. She fled, her heart pounding, leading him farther from her children, farther from the village, toward the peak of the mountain. As she ran, the storm seemed to follow, the winds howling in her ears. The pendant around her neck, a cobra passed down through generations, grew warm in her hand. Clutching it, she whispered a final prayer. The leader, now close, sneered, "Your gods are dead. This is the end of your tribe, your land." But before his sword could fall, the sky opened once more. The dragon descended with a terrifying roar, its mouth gaping wide. A stream of scorching flames poured from its jaws, enveloping the leader. The fire did not merely burn, it transformed. His body twisted in agony, the heat consuming flesh and bone. But instead of ash, the flames left behind something far stranger. The leader's body hardened, his skin crackled and gleamed until, in a burst of light, he stood frozen, transmuted into glass. His form, once full of life and malice, now reflected the storm, fragile and motionless, a monument to his arrogance. The woman stared in awe as the dragon's face slowly dissolved into the clouds. The earth beneath her trembled, her heart beating in rhythm with the storm's fury. And then in a flash, the dragon was gone. Kumoto awoke in the present, his body whole, his skin untouched by the fire that had roared around him. The monks moved to assist him, but something caught his eye, a small scratch on his arm where the leader's blade had cut the dragon. His eyes widened. "There has been a thief in the temple," he whispered. The battle was not over. Time had bent, but the war between worlds had only just begun.